And color choices there. Okay. All right, so potassium. After we look up the first name, what do we do after the first name?
See if it has more than one number.
Okay, we can do that first. I usually do that last. Okay, so after we do potassium, I do everything else. So after the first element, everything after the first element, I look up together. What comes after the first element?
Are you doing anything on internet?
Nope.
You had it, so you don't know if you've had it.
Oh yeah, I did. I checked the attendance.
You haven't tried Google Drive though.
No. You want me to try Google Drive?
Mine's just running like having to restart my computer and.
Let's see if it'll come up.
Sorry, guys. You're still asleep anyway, right?
That's all
Still
apart.
asleep. And I'll write for you after it's on Google Drive.
Here's the kind of.
Maybe it's on computer.
Mine,
Once I click on stuff, it takes like 10 minutes.
No, mine. I'm clicking and getting in.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome. All right. So after I find potassium, everything after potassium, I'm looking up together. Now, if it's a single element, what do I do to it? I add IDE. Now, because this has parentheses, it should jump out at me and scream, I am a what? I'm a what? I'm a polyatomic ion. So where do I find the polyatomic ions? On the right-hand side on the blue sheet. So what polyatomic ion is this? Phosphate. So I just write potassium phosphate. Do I write the word ion? No. Okay, so potassium phosphate. Now I do what Chris told me to do. Okay, I do it last. So I check which element to see if it has more than one number. I check the first element, the potassium. So when I look up potassium, how many numbers are written on the sheet? It just has +1. How many numbers is that? It's only one number. So do I need a Roman number right here? No. If there's only one number, I don't need a Roman number, so I'm not writing it up there. It's just going to be potassium phosphate. Everybody okay with that? Okay, so number 2, what's Al? Aluminum. All right, what's S? All right, why did you say sulfide, Jada? Okay, it's binary. There's only how many capital letters here? There's only 2 capital letters. So when Jada gave me the name for sulfur, she made an IDE on the end because there's how many capital letters right here? There's only 2 capitals. So she changed sulfur to sulfide. She didn't look it up on the polyatomic ion side because there's how many capital letters in that name? 2. Now, how many numbers does aluminum have written down on that chart? Aluminum has +3 written down. Now, a lot of times people look at that and they go, oh, it's a 3, Miss Wall. I need a Roman number. How many numbers is +3? It's one number. It is a 3, but it's only one number. So do I need Roman numbers here? No, because it's only one number again. All right? 3. What's that A? Sodium. All right. Do I have parentheses? How many capital letters do I have?
3.
I have 3. So again, even though I don't have parentheses, I have 3 capital letters. So is this binary? No. I'm not adding IDE. Everything after that first element, I look up how? Together on the polyatomic ion side. It just doesn't have parentheses on it. So you're looking up everything after Na together as a polyatomic ion on the right-hand side. So you're looking for C2O4 all together. So what's the name of C2O4? So you're going to write oxalate. Now, last step. Does it need a Roman number? No, because NA only has one number. And it's done. Questions about those? All right, so number 4.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to figure out if it has multiple numbers or not, like, I know there's no parentheses there, so I guess that means there's a 1 outside of it. Is that just something you have to know? Because I was confused if I was supposed to switch to 4 or.
Oh, you would look up NA and it only has a +1, so you would know that the parentheses were taken off. All right, number 4. How do I do the name there? And I read the formula. That's the first thing we do. All right, what's nickel symbol? Okay. What's this thing mean?
It's the oxidation number.
Which is?
4.
Okay. And oxide is? Okay. What's its oxidation number? Okay. Now, I would tell you to look at those before you even crisscross. What do you know should happen when you see those numbers? You're going to have to simplify. Think math class. 4 and 2 will do what when you have 2 over 4 in math class? They'll simplify to 1/2. Same thing's going to happen in chemistry class. Okay? So, when you crisscross, you're going to get a 2 and you're going to get a 4, right? You're going to reduce in science class too. So, Ni is going to reduce to what? And O is going to reduce to what? And we're not going to write this 1. If you do, it's okay, but I'm going to take it off. So you need to reduce to NiO2.
If we don't.
Half. On the test, it's only a -1 because they're 2-point questions. But on the quiz, it'd be a -5. Okay? So, manganese 5 cyanide. Now, manganese has what oxidation number? Cyanide is parentheses around the polyatomic ion, and then crisscross, and then get rid of your oxidation numbers. Now, if you left the parentheses off, is it okay? No. Parentheses have to be there because the number outside is not a 1. Okay? You can leave the parentheses off if the number outside is a what? A 1. But this number is not a 1. The parentheses have to be there. People leave parentheses off all the time because there is no number on that polyatomic ion. It has to be there. Now, let me show you something. Look up manganese real quick on your polyatomic ion sheet. Tell me if you see a 5 on that sheet for manganese. I put one there? Dang, I was hoping I didn't. All right, sometimes I might use a number here that's not on the sheet. It's okay. Okay, just because the number's not on the sheet doesn't mean it doesn't have that oxidation number. The sheet's not the holy grail. Okay, sometimes I forgot to put numbers on there. It's okay. Use whatever number I gave you in the question, even if it's not on that sheet. All right? All right, last one. Barium is what? What oxidation number?
2.
And bromide is? With what oxidation number? So we've got a 2 and a 1. Get rid of the 1. Make that go away. That go away. There you go. Questions?
If we have spaces between the number, like the 2 sets of letters, are you going to count them?
How much space are we talking?
Like, I mean, it's not terrible, but there's a space.
If it's a giant amount of space, rewrite it together. I mean, you can show it to me and I can look at it and see if it's ridiculous, but
Well, not, yeah, like this.
okay.
I don't know why, but I have the habit of doing it. I guess it's like I write the 1 here and then I erase it. And there's a bunch of space between it.
Not ridiculous, but it could be a little closer. All right, questions? You want to do homework? All right, let's look at homework real quick. See how bad my handwriting looks on the key. It doesn't look terrible. Some of the keys are blank. This one actually has it. That might be a little too large. Nope, that'll work. All right, there are the answers to 1 through 10. That way I don't have to call them out 8 zillion times. I'm learning y'all can't listen and check at the same time. I'm trainable.
Ms. Walk, for number 5, the Chromium Nitro,
Mm-hmm.
can it be either one of those? The CR?
If you leave it at CR3 N3, you'll lose half. It's got to be reduced. Yep.
Number.
Just tell me which one it says, because I have no idea which question it is. Yeah. SO4, that's fine. Normally I just call these out, so I just add lib when I call out the answers. Anybody else? Anybody need to see one done? I'll be glad to work it after I slide it up and go to the bottom answers. If you want it worked on the board, I'll do that. All right, everybody got the top check, so I can put the other ones up, or are we still checking? We'll check.
Could you do number 9 or 1?
You want me to do those in a minute? I will, in just a second. I got it now. Yes? Oops, too far. There.
So we're just going to do
Just one bit from me. The other out there are covalent compounds that we're going to talk about today. I mean, if you tried them this time, you did this time too. You may have a question about what I've written up there. My handwriting's not very good. And I don't usually strive for it on each piece. Are we done checking? So I can take that down and answer questions. Yes, no? All right, so which ones do I? Number 1, all right.
Yeah, 9.
1 and 9. Mark closed out, so my notebook would have been easier to leave it up. Can't work. All right, so number one says ammonium sulfate. So on your blue sheet, at the very top of your polyatomic ions, the top one is the only positive polyatomic ion you have. So if you look at that one, it says ammonium, and ammonium is NH4, and it has a +1 charge. So put it in parentheses. And then sulfate is much further down the sheet, and it's SO4, and it has a -2 charge. So it's also a polyatomic ion. So put both polyatomic ions in parentheses. I'm going to get rid of the little plus and minus because we don't need it. And then 1 is going to come over here. 2 is going to come over here. And so I'm going to wind up with NH4 with a 2. And then SO4 is going to have a 1. I'm going to get rid of the 1. And you can either leave it like that, which is what I wrote on the paper, or you can have NH4 with a 2, and you can dump the parentheses and just write SO4, which is what typically happens, because we don't usually write the parentheses where there's nothing on the outside. Either answer would be correct. Okay? All right, the number 9, which I think Caroline asked for, is 10. Okay, SN. It has a Roman numeral 4, which means 10 is a 4. And then hydroxide is one of those 2 exceptions, just pointing out that they do end in IDE, but it's still a polyatomic ion, and it has an oxidation number of -1. Now, even though this is a polyatomic ion, and there are no numbers on it, if you get it off the polyatomic ion side, what do you need to put around it? Parentheses. It doesn't matter that there are no numbers on it. It's a polyatomic ion. Put it in parentheses. So once it's in parentheses, then crisscross. 4 comes over here. 1 comes over here. You have SnOH4. But without the parentheses, it's not right. And the reason for that will be a math reason that we'll talk about what's today, Wednesday. Best guess would be Friday. Anything else on the sheet you want me to talk about? Number 17. All right, 17, when you look at it, it says NH4OH. Now, this one usually causes issues, and the more you work with the polyatomic ions and naming, the easier this one will be to recognize. All right, this one, when you see it, this is why some people are fans of memorizing the polyatomic ions, and I'm not a huge fan of memorization because the vast majority of you will never take a chemistry class again. All right, if I haven't said this to you, I will before you get out of here. Chemistry is a hoop for the vast majority of you. You are college-bound folks. Most colleges want to see chemistry on your transcript. Okay, of course, it's not very useful in everyday life. If you took physical science, the vast majority of things I teach in physical science are useful. We talk about things like debit cards, electricity, motion, things that you can use in everyday life and relate to. None of you are ever going to use this in everyday life. If you think this is bad, wait till we do the math and talk about the inside of an atom. Okay? So it's not very useful to you. That's why I'm not a big fan of memorizing. If you were at West, you'd have to memorize 25, 26 polyatomic ions and know them by the time we did naming. I'm not a big fan of that. So I give you a card so that you just learn the process and learn how to use it. You have a phone in your pocket. If you want to know what ammonium is, you can Google it in 5 seconds or less. All right? Most of it's just how fast you can type it in your phone. Now, this polyatomic ion is on your sheet. It's the top one. So after you've done it a few times, Jada, you will recognize that NH4 is ammonium, okay? Probably by tomorrow or Thursday, you will recognize that NH4 is ammonium, and you can just write it down, okay? Now, OH, if you don't recognize it, it'll be the same thing. When you see OH, OH is hydroxide, okay? You might even remember OH from biology class as a base. It's the base ion. It's what makes everything turn blue when you put it on litmus paper. So ammonium and then hydroxide. Now, you will never have to worry about Roman numerals for this one because ammonium is a polyatomic ion. It has how many oxidation numbers? 1, so it's never going to have Roman numbers. Anything else on naming?
Do all polyatomic ions only have 1?
Yep.
oxidation?
Yep. They do. Anything else before we finish the lab for those of you who need to finish it? No? All right, so those of you who've already finished, you've got 15 minutes to study for your quiz, or if you are somebody who did not turn in openings and need to finish those, finish them and get them turned in. All right, or if you have something missing that you can do in 15 minutes, get that done. If you are somebody who didn't finish the lab, it is 8:50. You have until 9:05 to finish the lab. If you can't finish it by 9:05, it's due to me before I leave today. Whether you use it during lunch or after school, doesn't matter. But before I leave today, it has to be finished or I grade it as is. Because I will snatch it up off the counter and grade it as is. Oh, come get them. I had put them up yesterday, so my class didn't mess with them. They're over there. 2 tubs on the shelf. Just set the whole tub back there on the back table. Yeah. Just set them back there on the back table so everybody has them. Yeah, after we do this. It's possible it could be on there. You never know. Don't know? Depends on which variety of quiz I go pull out. Because I forgot to run off, I'm getting ready to do that. Somewhere out there. If you turned it into me yesterday, I stuck it over there. In my notebook in the back. I probably have 6 or 7 versions. That's what happens when you do this for 27, 28 years. I have multiple varieties. Why? Well, just do. Why? I just saved everything. Oh. Okay.
H and H3 and L4.
I'm sorry. That's possible. Nitrate is
Just for you, Molly, I pulled out an easy one.
Do we need these?
Yep.
What do we turn these?
Just put them on my desk.
H2. H3
Yeah, he's stuck on 40s.
You scared me for a second. Oh my God.
Oh well.
I'm glad they made it grade because Some people take forever to grade papers. I gotta do scan in, you got
Miss Wall.
She put the grades in real
Right here, I had to put, to make it equal zero, I had to put NA twice and then this one. And this, so I did NA2.
That's not intoxication.
It's one,
Uh-huh.
but I had to put it twice
No, you didn't.
to make it equal zero.
Okay. So when you actually do this, okay, are you writing the formula based on what you glued down or based on the oxidation numbers?
When I glued down.
Okay. So how many NAs did you glue down?
2,
How many O's did you glue down?
1.
So NA has a subscript of what then?
It would be 2. That's why.
And O has a subscript of what then?
1.
Okay. That's why I wanted to clarify. Because the way you wrote it on that piece of paper, you're combining the two systems.
I'm mad they
Yeah.
got rid of the Bojangles on Main Street. I don't know, the one that looks like in the gas station.
Yeah, their food is terrible.
Okay.
Drive all the way across town.
Go on 64.
This is where I'm at. So I put 2 on here, and the oxidation number is +1, and then for oxygen it's -2.
Yeah, so crisscross them.
So it doesn't matter. I put more than 1. Still use.
+1 and -2.
Okay.
Yes. Let's go see if it came off.
I don't think anyone did that. I had to ask. I didn't see the lady for it said, tried or something. I did it on my laptop. No, I did it, so I just put it out. What does it do now? What is it? Yeah. She changed
I know.
It's her fault. I'm glad that you just found out now.
Hey, what?
Yeah, I was expecting to go back. Tomorrow. And I was sort of surprised. I didn't, whenever she said, I just.
That's fine.
Well, I do.
Did you forget? That's today too. I didn't get any of the, I answered the question, so whenever she got there, I said she made priority. I could never get the website to work. Because I actually I was just gonna wait for it today or tomorrow, because I was counting on
I can't see why, but you can have it, but the oxidation are really, really gonna need.
Exactly. You can't say anything. What we need. But you don't have it. Exactly. So I don't have to. Exactly. Like if I have it. That's the way I'm trying to say something. I don't have
I don't need the directions. All I need is the picture. Yep, that's all I need. Thank you, ma'am. Y'all have about 2 minutes.
Because attention is the today. My mom doesn't care. It's just your mom to tell Okay, let's compare.
This is how I'm gonna push it. Push it. Oh, yeah. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Wait, what push it? My bad.
I don't even know.
So we started learning field show for emotions. It's Phil's got us in there doing some little wait a minute.
All right, I have 9:06. So I need papers either turned in or you need to stop work and you need to go work on it during your own time later today. I don't care which one.
Yeah, me too. That's all.
Yeah.
What are you going to the test correction?
I'm putting them in right now. Yeah, extra scraps on the trash, and then pick the paper I get.
Yeah.
Oh, you can really only buy 3 openings out of the 10. I mean, you can't find anything before September the 10th. Okay. Try not to lose them this time.
It's like,
I'm pretty sure my mom. I'm pretty sure
No. I think she just needs this.
you might have to try to say
You know my mom.
Alright, y'all need your blue oxidation sheet. You can have your periodic table also if you'd like it, but you need your blue oxidation sheet. Now, if you still have your direction sheet like Almaj has, you do not need that. I do not need that. You can go to the trash can. Okay? It's useless to me. All I need are the pink pieces of paper.
I put in was. So we not, like, I thought you was talking about you could give us another thing that I'm over here different.
Right, I worked hard.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Excuse me. I just spoke. Thank Thank you so much, Jada.
What happened?
God, my heart earns hard.
You're exactly right. You didn't put those away. Completely with my senses. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Jada, thank you. Thank you. I'm in your debt. I am in your debt.
Cause yeah, we was blowing up all night long. Yeah.
Yes, I am in your debt. Y'all did anything. You can have a good idea what you want to do this kind of music.
See, I thought.
I told you I'm getting old.
Are you serious?
Now, what if y'all don't remember them?
Oh, I remember. Hey, the police what's today? Nick all the way around.
Even if you didn't remember, you would still have right there to see. I'm upset.
Come on, dude. Y'all just need a brain to come in. You're right, take what you want, but it's not everything you need on here. You know, you ever get your act on here, y'all are. That whole road over there is a disaster. Here, you two are ready. Those other three of these people over here are a mess.
It was great. It was like.
I bet y'all crazy.
Alright,
It was not.
you do not get the rest of the class period. It's 10 questions. Alright, I will give you a max of 15 minutes. Some of you need time limits. You have time limits. 15 minutes, max. So that means 9:25, we're done. That's plenty of time. All right, 25 minutes, too long. So 15 should be plenty to do these 10 little cheesy questions. I think that's two. One more. I think I got it. All right, did everybody get a paper? Now, somebody will ask me in a minute to spell and count. People, they're spelled on that sheet. You can't spell it when you put IDE on it. Flip it over. I left the binary spelling.
Said you wouldn't come out with the offenses if you didn't need it.
If you don't need them and leave them, no, I will not take off. But if you need them
And don't.
and don't put them, then it'll be wrong. You can.
For this one, I know that this has two, but you don't choose this one for the first number, so would it matter if I put like a Roman numeral or not?
Up to you.
If
You
I put-
choose.
If I put one that's not needed, do I get it counted off?
Yep. Max, you just protesting the pink paper? How many of you are still working? I just got a couple. Okay. Those of you still working, have 1 minute. All right, I got 9:26. I'll give you an extra minute. So, pass yours to the front. Yeah, that's the quiz paper. Do the chart separately, right? Sort all this crap. I gotta look for it. And there. All right, so I get everybody's paper. All right, now pass the charts to the front. All right, did I put an acid on there?
Yes.
I put 1. What was it? Good. Everybody get it? Very good. Hydrochloric acid was on there. Oh, that's yours. right. All right, find your notes. And those of you who have calculators, if you want to put them up, go put them up, because we're not going to need them. We're not doing any math calculations today. Probably not tomorrow either. Probably be Friday before we get to do it again. So today we're going to branch out a little bit. I'll take a look-see at what we've got on these trusty quizzes during my planning period here, because your lab papers are graded. I just got to put those in Power School. And I'll grade these very shortly, because those are pretty quick to grade also, because they're either right or wrong. Now, ionic compounds can only be named with the stock system. Now, what is the stock system? That's right. Every time I use the word stock system, you got to think Roman numbers. Roman numerals are essentially oxidation numbers. That whole crisscrossing method. Now, why am I pointing that out? Well, because covalent compounds have options. Ionic compounds do not. Typically, when I give that quiz, scores are pretty good, right? Everybody does well with the stock system, because there's only one way to name. Everybody has to name this way. When we do the quiz on covalent, we're usually okay there too. It's when we mix the two systems together that we run off the rails. Okay? Does everybody have what they need? Or do I need to wait? Yes, no, where are we at? We're good? All right. Covalent compounds. Can be named using both stock system and the prefix system. Okay? The prefix system is also sometimes referred to as the old system because it's the older system of the two. All right? Now, the prefix system, once we learn that, some of y'all are really going to like, because the prefix system equals the subscripts. Okay? There are no oxidation numbers. And there is no crisscrossing. Now, the problem is, once we learn all that, people start intermingling the systems, and that's why we tend to run off the rails. Now, how are you going to know when you can use what? So, let's see what we remember. How can you tell me an ionic compound? How do you recognize an ionic compound? Nope, that would be binary. It's not a bad answer. It's just binary.
It's metals and non-metals.
Okay. So, in order to be ionic, it has to be a metal and a non-metal. So, every time we go to name something, we have to know if it's a metal and a non-metal. So, to be covalent, it has to be a what? That would be a metallic bond, which we're not going to name at all. It's not part of our curriculum. There you go. Okay? So, what system is it always safe to use? Tell me that. Based on what we just wrote on the board, what system is it always safe for us to use to name?
Stock system.
Stock system. Okay? We can always use the stock system. There is nothing wrong with the stock system. Every compound that we will ever write, you can name with the stock system. What system can you only use with covalent? The prefix system. Now we're going to learn the prefix system, and I'm going to use Almaja over here. She's going to be like, I like the old system as well. Almaja can use the old system every time she sees what kind of compound? Covalent. Now, in order to use the old system, she has to be able to recognize what kind of compounds. Non-metals. She's got to recognize those covalent compounds. So, if we have a list of compounds, let's just say we have AlBr3, NaC2O4, PCl3, HCl, and MgBr2. Tell me where I can use old system in that list of compounds. Can I use old system anywhere? Or where can I use old system? Anybody? Okay. Why can I not use old system on the first or second one? Diamond? Okay. This right here is a metal. So no old system. She is correct on both counts. Both of those are metals. No old system. We'll not be able to use a prefix system there.
The last one, you can't use it on the last one.
Last one either. Because this right here is a metal. This one's good. Can use it here. Can't use it on the fourth one either.
No, hydrogen's a non-metal.
It is a non-metal.
It's nice.
It's one of the four acids. It's one of the four acids you're supposed to know. That some of you probably didn't know on the quiz today. That's why I stuck it up here. All right, what's the name of it? So today on the quiz, you were supposed to write down hydrochloric acid. If you didn't write that, minus 10. Okay? If you wrote hydrogen chloride, put a Roman numeral on it. If you wrote any of those other derivations of hydrogen and chloride, it's just minus 10. Okay? That is the right answer. Okay? Just telling you. So you're not shocked when I mark it wrong later today. So, out of those 5, how many places can you use old system? 1. So even though we're learning it, and some of you are going to be like, dang, well, that one's easy. I like that system. You can't use it in many places. So even though we're going to like it, please don't depend on it and come back and say, I'm going to name this magnesium dibromide. You can't do that, okay? Because after we learn old system, people run off the rails on me. All the skills you just learned and you did on that quiz to score well, you still need to be able to use after we learn that, okay? So, how do we take and name covalent compounds? The exact same way. Nothing's changed, okay? So, formulas and naming covalent compounds in stock system. Everything is the same. Now, here's what makes it different. Okay? Frequently, compounds have been reduced. You must determine the original oxidation number to write the name. Okay? That's number one. Reduce when writing the formula. Those are the only two things that make covalent compounds different with stock, because you haven't seen a great deal in your homework that required reducing, right? Last night's 20, there was one question. Okay? In covalent compounds, it happens a lot. Probably 50% of the time or more, you will have to reduce. The biggest thing that will cause issues for you guys is the simple fact that you're going to have to figure out if the compound was reduced to write the name to find the Roman number. Now, the last thing I'm going to tell you. All. And what I tell you the other day about always, I almost never say that word. You will always need a Roman number in covalent compounds. Okay? Every single covalent compound has multiple oxidation numbers. Okay? Every single one. Okay? When you look them up, they're going to have multiple oxidation numbers. A lot of times, and I'll tell you this now before we even get homework and you come back tomorrow and go, Ms. Wall, that number was not on that oxidation sheet. That is correct. An oxidation sheet is just a guide. It's not the Holy Grail. Okay? But a lot of them are not going to be on the sheet. Just use whatever's in the formula. Everybody have what they need so we can practice a little bit. Because you already have the skills. You already know how to do this. Now, if you've got good math skills with fractions, this is easier. All right, we're there? All right, so let's do one you know. Now, everybody knows how to name that, right? What's his name? That's the old system name. Okay? We're talking about alkalis called carbon dioxide tomorrow. We name old system. We need to name it the stock system. Okay? We need to name it with a Roman number. So, using stock system, how do we name it? Okay. Carbon is correct. All right, why do we add IDE on it, Chris?
Because it's a binary.
All right, because it's binary. All right, when I graded our pink papers over there, a few of you were hit and miss. About half of your names forgot the IDE on the end. Every time you forget IDE, what happens? No, it's not half off. It's wrong, okay? You lost 3 points for every one of those you forgot. It's just wrong. So if you did it on the quiz today, it's minus 10. You don't get partial credit if you forgot IDE. You have two elements that are capitalized. You have to put IDE on the end. Carbon and then oxide. Now, do we need a Roman number? A lot of you are not going to believe me that all covalents need a Roman number. So look up carbon real quick. Got your blue sheet? Nothing wrong with not trusting me. I have trust issues myself. I don't trust anybody. All right, there's how many? There's 3 numbers listed there beside Carter. Okay, so that means we need a Roman number, right? Now, Chris said what number? 2. Now, we got to learn a new habit. We need to check the second element in the compound. It's a new skill. So when we look up the second element, what's oxygen's oxidation number? It's a -2. Now, when we crisscross, where should that 2 be in the formula? Should be in between. It should be down here on the C, right? Should be right there. But it's not there. Where'd it go? It reduced down. So, in order to figure out what the Roman number is, you need the original formula. So, we need to figure out what the formula used to be. The way you do that is you multiply this through the subscripts. So, 2 times 1 is, what's 2 times 1? What's 2 times 2? The original formula used to be that. So what number came from the C originally? The 2 came from up there, and the 4 came from up there. So what came from the C? 4. Now, I probably wrote this in the original video, but can everybody do Roman numerals 1 through 7? If you can't, I'm just going to write them up here. I don't want anybody to be embarrassed by saying they can or cannot. Because if you write the wrong Roman numeral, it's just wrong. So there's 1 through 7. Okay? So if you don't know them, there they just are. Now, questions about how I did that, because we're going to do several of them. Yes? No? Okay. So let's say that I do SO3. How do I write its name? That's S. Sulfur. All right. What's O? Oxide. All right. And I added IDE because there's how many capitals? 2. I'll also tell you a secret. You're only going to do binary for covalent. No polyatomics. All right. So from there, do I need a Roman number? If you're not sure, look up sulfur. How many numbers does sulfur have? A lot. Okay. A lot means we need a Roman number. Okay. So, to figure out if it was reduced, what element do we have to look up? Oxygen. What number does oxygen have? -2. It should be right there. Is there a 2 there? What's that tell us? It was reduced. So if it was reduced, we need the original formula. How did I tell you to get the original formula? Multiply the 2 through the subscripts. So S was a 2 and O was a 6. So what number came from the S? So I put sulfur 6 oxide. Now, will they all be reduced? Not all of them. Okay, so let's do one that may or may not have been reduced.
So you pick the subscript of the second,
You got to always check the second element.
but that's what you don't put the one with the first element.
No, because they backwards crisscross, remember? So that came from up there, and that came from up there. Okay? So if I had, let's say, AS2O5, and I wanted to write its name, what's AS? If you don't know, look it up. It's okay. Arsenic. Lots of people wind up in jail on death row from that one. Okay? People tend to use it to kill spouses. It's a lovely killer. You can put it in brownies and all kinds of other stuff. Bad part is once people figure out that they're using it to poison people, it's very traceable. All right, Blanche Taylor Moore used it to kill, I forgot how many husbands, 2 or 3. All right. Yeah. I can't remember if she died or if she's still in Raleigh in jail. All right. O is oxide. All right. And then, was it reduced? All right, I hear some no's. How do we decide? All right, what is O's oxidation number? It's a -2, right? Well, what is right there? A 2. The 2 is still written in the formula, right? So if the 2 is still in the formula, was it reduced? No, because the 2 is there. Okay, look at the difference. If I go back for a second, is the 2 in the formula? No, see how it's missing and it's a 1 right there? That means it was reduced. But here, if I go back, is the 2 still in the formula? That means it was not reduced. Okay, it's still in there because it's a 2 and a 5. Okay, so what number came from the arsenic in this formula? So we write Roman numeral 5. Does that make sense? Okay, so what if we do one that doesn't have an O this time? What if we do PCl5? All right, how do we write that one in stock? Okay, so here phosphorus. I hear chloride. All right, so what element are we looking up this time? All right, chlorine has what oxidation number? Okay, I hear a lot of them. Which one is important for us? If chlorine is last, what do you pick? -1. Is everybody okay with that when you look up all those numbers? Chlorine has -1, +1, +3, +5, +7 listed on the sheet. Okay, you're picking the -1 because chlorine is where in this name? Second. Everybody's okay with that, right? I know not everybody watched the video, so is everybody caught up on that skill? Okay, so if it's a 1, what number is right there? So was this one reduced? No. So what number came from phosphorus in this formula? So we're going to put a 5 here.
Can you write it with the 2 bars over it?
I don't care.
Like, is that wrong or?
You mean like that?
Yeah.
I don't care. It's the same thing. It's
I don't
personal.
know.
It's personal preference, Carolina. Write it any way you like. I'm just lazy, so you know that worked. All right. You think you have it? All right. Let's see. Let's do 2, and then we can go over and we can talk homework. Let's do N2O and all right. SiO2. Do those 2 real quick. Oh, I hand out homework since it takes me forever. And we're going to do something with this homework tomorrow, so try not to write super, super large. Well, you just have to squeeze. But we're also going to use these same homework questions to go back and write an old system too. Okay, that's fine. You done? Need more time? Where we at? All right, how about now? So, what do we name the first one? Nitrogen. Okay. I heard oxide. Was it reduced? No. You got a 2 here. What's written right there? A 2. So the 2 is still in the formula, right? So if the 2 is still in the formula, it was not reduced. Do I need a Roman number? Yes. I have to have a Roman number because nitrogen has more than one number written on that sheet, right? So what number came from nitrogen from right there? A 1. So I have to write Roman number 1. The reason I gave y'all this one is people say to me all the time, I got to write the 1. Yes, you have to write a Roman number 1 sometimes because it has to have a Roman number, and that number is a 1 right there. You have to write Roman number 1. Okay? Now, this one is silicon, or you can say silicone, either one. O is oxide. Was it reduced? So it had a 2. There should be a 2 here, and it's not there, so it's Si2O4. What number came from silicone or silicon? 4. So you want Roman numeral 4. And you can put the bars over them if it makes you happy. All right, questions? No? All right, for homework on that sheet, I want to do questions number, let me see what we got. Let's do 1 through 12. Okay, 1 through 12. Name them in stock system. We'll come back and do them in old system tomorrow after we learn how to do old system. Any questions?
Wait, is that old system?
That's stock that we're doing. We're going to learn how to do old system tomorrow. That's stock. We're still using Roman numbers. Still using the parentheses and the Roman numbers. Old system will be learning how to do it like the carbon dioxide.
Is that different from what we've been doing?
Nope, we're still using stock. No, coming back and putting in mono, di, tri is old system. Yeah, we're still doing stock. I'm missing one calculator. Who's got it? Oh, and remember, I'll be here today. Last day for test corrections if you want to do test corrections.
Lauren Cotton, Cameron Harrison, please come to the main office. That's Lauren Cotton, Cameron Harrison, please come to the main office. Students and teachers, there is grab and go. Students, be mindful of your time.
I'm sure you can understand why. Okay.
Okay. Can I come to the, I have second one.
Second one, I can work with if you come during third. I can work with it first. I just can't afford it.
I know I had it right the first time. Then I looked at it.
Parker would have. And so one got something.